I'm saying? Yeah. The fanatic. Where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina. Upstate, A64. Yeah. The FANATTIC. The fanatic where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what
Welcome into the Fanatic Sports Channel for sports fans by sports fans. It's your boy Coach I. All right, man. We in here for part 2 of the Big 12 college football win totals. Again, hey man, this is based off of Vegas Insider. What numbers they give, the win totals they give for each team in the Big 12. We did Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Iowa State in part 1. And in part 2, we got Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, West Virginia, and Texas. Before we get into it, let me say, we got my boy Stat Guy with me. How you feeling, Stat Guy?
I'm doing good. I was going to throw out real quick. You know, we both rocking the new merch, the Fanatic merch. We haven't mentioned it in a couple videos, but we got the merch on. We got your basic colors, the grays, the blacks, the reds with double color lettering. But one cool thing we can do, man, we can match it to your team. You tell us what your team is. We can get a shirt in your team colors. Those shirts are on sale for $25 plus shipping and handling. Or maybe you're just a guy that got a bunch of kicks and you want to match some outfits together. Man, we could do that. I know my boy Coach I has everything matched up. He got to stay looking fresh when he hits the streets.
That's right. You know, I'm rocking the baby blue today as I did in part 1, and I got this one so it go with my Jordan 4 University Blues. That is correct. And you can order those shirts on the website www.thefanatic, spelled THEFANATTIC, thefanatic.company.site. We take PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. Or if you're in our area, we can meet up and then you don't pay shipping and we take cash on delivery. That is right. All right, man. Don't forget to jump in and comment, subscribe, like, and all that if you're loving the content, man. So, Jeff, the Stat Guy, we're going to jump right in, man. The first team up to bat. Oh, I do have to say as a disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. We are not Vegas insiders. We're just two guys that really love college football, love watching college football and giving our opinions. So don't go betting the house on what we say, because if you lose the house, I don't have any space at my house for you. All right. First team up is Texas Tech. Texas Tech Red Raiders were 6-6 in 2021. What does Vegas say they're going this year, Jeff?
Hey man, Vegas likes to hit the nail on the head, especially with those middle of the road teams. 5.5.
5.5. They say it's pretty much on par with Texas Tech. All right, let's jump right in and see if we match with Vegas. 5.5. Let me write that down. 5.5 Vegas. All right. Murray State. That's a win.
It ain't basketball, so it is a win.
That is right. Houston. That's a half.
Where's that game at?
At Lubbock.
I will give them the half since it's in Lubbock.
All right. At NC State, that's a L.
Yeah, that's not pretty. Now,
yeah. I got NC State challenging for the ACC Atlantic, which would put them in the ACC championship. They bring back a lot, and I just don't know if Texas Tech is going to be able to travel to NC State and play with those guys, because I think NC State's a top 10 team.
That could be a daggum good ball game. That I am gonna have it as a loss, but that I could see that being a daggum good ball game.
All right. Then after that, they come back home to play Texas. Hey man, I got this as a half. I mean, I know Texas it seems like Texas has the better talent. Until I can see it from Texas. Texas was we'll get into they were either 5-7 or 6-6. I don't know when we get to their schedule, but I got this as a half, man.
I'm giving them a half on it.
All right. At Kansas State, I got it as a half.
I did it as a half as well.
All right, at Oklahoma State, I got this as a straight out loss. I don't think they'll be able to go into Stillwater and get a dub.
They're not going into Cowboy Country. That's a loss.
Then they got a bye week, and then they come back home and take on West Virginia. I got this as a half.
Give me the half on that as well.
All right. Then they take on the reigning Big 12 champs, Baylor Bears, at home in it's in Lubbock, Texas. I got this as a loss. I don't think they have enough for Baylor.
I think it's a loss.
Then they go to TCU. I got this as a half.
Half.
They take on the Kansas Jayhawks. I think this is going to be a straight up win for them.
That's a win.
Then they got to go to Iowa State. I got this as a loss. I don't think they're going to be able to go to Iowa State and win.
I believe that I had this as a half.
And then they finish the year off with Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma will get the straight up win.
And I'm giving that a half.
All right, so Vegas said 5.5. I have 1, 2, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. I match Vegas exactly.
And I also have 5.5.
So hey, if you're a betting person, again, don't rely strictly on us, but I probably stay away from this one because you want to go over or under, and from what we can tell, it's going to be right on par. All right, so let's see. The next team up to bat is the reigning Big 12 champions. They went 10-2 in the regular season and beat Oklahoma State in the championship. What say you right here, Jeff? What does Vegas say? I'm sorry.
So, crazy thing, this is not the team that is tied for the second most wins in the
Wow.
Baylor, 7.5.
7.5. They gave Oklahoma 9.5. They gave Oklahoma State 8.5. They gave the reigning Big 12 champs 7.5. Oh, the disrespect. Let's jump into it to see what we think. All right, the first game against Albany. That's a win.
Win.
Second game, tricky at BYU, and I think this is on our video. You can check right here. We'll have it somewhere on the screen, a link to our video about best non-conference games in college football. This is one of them, or it was on the possible game day locations. What do you say? They got to go to Provo, man. What you saying?
I do believe game day is going to be in Provo week 2. I'm going to give them a half.
I'm going to give them a half here too. I think they have the stuff to go to Provo and win, but not a lot of teams do that. And BYU, this is early in the season. I think you mentioned it in one of our, I think it was the SEC West video. BYU is taking on all comers this year, but this is the second game of the season. They'll be fresh to go. So next game, they come back home and they take on Texas State. I got that as a win.
That's a win.
Going to Iowa State, I got that as a win.
That's a win.
Playing Oklahoma State at home, I got that as a half. I think Oklahoma State might be up for the revenge tour this year, but it is at home.
I did put that down as a half, but if I had to go one way or the other, I would probably lean more towards the loss. But I can flip the coin, so I will flip the coin, and I'll take the half.
All right. Then they get a bye week, and then they play at West Virginia. I know West Virginia added JT and some more pieces. I just don't think they top to bottom. Their depth is good enough to beat Baylor. I think this is a straight up win.
It's at West Virginia?
Yep.
They got to go cross country. Give me the half out there in the country roads.
Then back home to take on Kansas. That's a straight up win.
That's a win.
At Texas Tech, I got that as a straight up win. Yeah, we just did Texas Tech. I think you said this one was a half. I think you said.
This is a half.
All right. At Oklahoma, I'm going to give them a half. I think they got the talent to beat Oklahoma, but we'll see how everything. This is like the 9th game of the year, and Brent Venables might have that thing cooking by then. Who knows? I got them at a half.
I gave them the win at Oklahoma.
Then back home to face Kansas State, I got this as a half. I think Unfortunately, I think no, I got this as a win. I got this as a win. I think Kansas State will play them tough. I think it's a bad spot for Baylor to take on Kansas State right after Oklahoma, but I got it as a I think Baylor will pull it out.
I got this as a win.
Then they play TCU at home. I got this as I think this may be a half. I think that gauntlet is a little too. It's gonna be strenuous on them. So I got this as a half.
This is a home game for Baylor.
That is correct.
Win.
And then to finish it off, they play the Texas Longhorns in Austin. I got that as a half only because it's in Austin, and at that point, whatever quarterback that Sark goes with should be kind of cooking with grease. And if they're gonna do any, and Bijan, we already know can run that rock, so I got this as a half.
And I have this as a win.
All right, so Vegas said 7.5. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, half, 8, half, 9.5. I got 9.5. So if I was a betting man, I'd probably go with the over on that 7.5.
And I'm also at 9.5.
Vegas said we don't know what we're talking about, so we will get to see. Next up is the TCU Hornfrogs. TCU Hornfrogs. All right. Last year they went 5-7. Not impressive. This year they're looking to bounce back. What does Vegas say about their win total, Jeff?
6.5.
6.5. Being a little generous, but I guess 6.5 would kind of be like, floor 5-7, ceiling 7-5. So let's go through and see. They got to travel first game to Colorado.
I'm giving them the win.
See, I'm giving them a half here. You said okay, so they got the 6.5 in Vegas. I'm gonna give them a half here. I think Colorado may be able to shock them first game. They had a whole offseason to prepare. Then they got Tarleton State Texans. I think that's what it says. That's a win.
Win.
All right. Then they got a bye week early in the season, and then they have to travel to SMU.
I'm going to give them the win at SMU.
I'm giving them a half. They got to travel to SMU. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Not that. Oh, SMU might get up for that game. Then they come back home and play against Oklahoma October the 1st.
I had that as a half.
I think I got Oklahoma beating them outright, so I'm gonna give them a dub on that one. I mean, loss. My bad, a loss. Then they play at Kansas. I got that as a win.
Win.
Then they play Oklahoma State at home. I think Oklahoma State has too much for them, so that's a loss.
And that's, I think, the sleeper game for Oklahoma State. Trap them. I got it as a half.
Then they play Kansas State at home. I think this is a half. I think these are, this could go either way, to be honest.
Had it as a half.
They travel to West Virginia. I think West Virginia gets them at home and beats them outright.
Half.
Then they got Texas Tech at home. I'm going to give them a half here because it's at home.
I gave them the win.
Then they travel to Texas.
Give me half.
I'm going to give Texas the outright win here. I think Sark will have enough. If nothing else, they just turn around and hand that thing to Bijan and do them in. Then they got to go to Baylor. I think that's a loss.
That is a loss.
And then they finish the season at home versus Iowa State. I think because it's at home, depending on how these kids react, the season not going their way. If they keep their head in the game, this could be a half because it could go either way. But if they check out mentally, but who's to say Iowa State players hadn't checked out as well? I'm gonna give them a half.
I got them as a half there.
All right, so Vegas said 6.5. I got 1, 2.5, 3.5, 4. I got 4.5.
I have them going at 8-4.
Ooh, you got TCU turning it all the way around in 2022, huh?
But a lot of halves. You could very well see that 8-4 could very easily be a 4-8 or even a 5-7. And so I think that 5-7 to 7-5 is realistic. That's the 6.5.
Got you. So 2 teams left. That's West Virginia and Texas. Let's go ahead and talk about West Virginia. West Virginia finished last year 6-6. They just got a transfer portal quarterback in JT Daniels. I do like JT Daniels. I don't like the fact that he has nagging injuries. Not all the time keeps him out, but it could slow him down. If he's 100% healthy, I think he definitely improves the team.
Vegas has them at 5.5. I mean, it's both sides of the coin. They half your conference games at home, half away. But I mean, that's a long travel for a conference game.
All right, so let's jump in. The first game of the season, they travel to College Park, Maryland, and take on Maryland Terrapins. What you say? Tua Tagovailoa's little brother, Talia. I hope I say that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Maryland fans.
What a crazy way to start your season. I'm starting them off with a half. But man, they could realistically just get rocked in the mouth and fold like my money, and we'll see. But I'm gonna give them that half on it.
I'm gonna give him a half as long as JT is 100%. If JT ain't 100%, I don't know. It's like going to, I don't know. That's not to say that Maryland's this juggernaut, but I just think their offense, they're gonna score points, and they're gonna need JT to be healthy to score with them. Then they got the LIU Sharks, definitely a win.
Win.
Then the Virginia Tech Hokies. This is a border rival. I think Virginia Tech is gonna be a little bit improved, but I think this could go either way. And this is at home. I think I'm gonna give them a half here.
Give them a
win. Giving them a win. All right, take that, Hokies. All right, and they got to go to Oklahoma. I got this as a loss. I think Brent Venables' team is just gonna have too much talent for them.
Yeah, loss.
Texas Tech at home, like you said. I think it's a long trip. I think this is a toss-up game. I'm giving them a half.
I'm giving them a half.
That West Virginia is just crazy to be in the Big 12, right? Should be in the Big 10 or the ACC possibly.
Should be in the ACC.
Yeah.
Tech, you got Virginia, you got Boston College and Syracuse. Like, that could be a side of the ACC right there.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a great side, but
bring Maryland back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no, it wouldn't be a.
Hey.
Now, basketball-wise, they got some. Unfortunately, we're talking football. That'd be a miserable football side.
How about that? ACC goes to 16 teams like the SEC, and the 2 teams they bring in are West Virginia and Maryland. How about that? All right. After they take on Texas Tech, they got to go to Baylor. They definitely not gonna. I don't think they're gonna win that game. That's a loss.
That is a loss.
And then they get an off week, and then they got to travel to TCU. And just like we said, for people going to West Virginia, it's a long trip for West Virginia to go to them as well. So I got them at a half.
I'll give them a half there as well.
Iowa State at home, not as far as there's a travel, but I got this as a half as well.
I gave West Virginia the outright win here.
All right, so then Oklahoma State has to make the cross-country road trip, but I think they do have the horses to overcome that distance, and I got this as a loss.
It's a loss.
Then they got to go to Kansas State. I got that as a half because I think Kansas State and West Virginia kind of right there together. Kansas State finished 7-5 last year. West Virginia 6-6. They're both looking to improve. Kansas State's the home team here. I think this is a half here.
I have it as a half as well.
All right. Then they get Texas in Morgantown. What say you about Sark the Shark coming to Morgantown? Half. Okay. I got. See, this is you know what I'm saying. This is game number 11. You start to get injuries piled up. You know what I'm saying. If Bijan Robinson is 100%, I think they go into Morgantown and win. If he's not, which he hasn't shown that he's going to be hurt or anything, I think Texas gets the win. But I mean, if he's not, then I think West Virginia could pull it off. So I'm gonna give them a half here. I think we're giving them more than Vegas giving them. We're gonna see. And then they finish the year with the Jayhawks at home. That's a dub.
That is a win.
All right, so Vegas got them at 5.5. I got them at 1, 2, half, 3, half 4, half 5. Nope, I got them right at 5.5 with Vegas.
I have them at 7.
You got the West Virginia Mountaineers in 2022 at 7-5, basically.
But 7-5 with you're looking at like 4 coin flips. I mean, that's, you know what I'm saying? It's another team here in the Big 12 where all these teams aren't going to win the coin, right? All the coin flips against each other. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. That's the great thing about college football. They don't play that NFL regular season overtime with a tie and all that nonsense. Man, they'll play for 19 hours if it takes it. And so because of that, there's going to be a winner and a loser. And this is another team here in the Big 12 that I could very easily see kind of in that 5-7, 7-5 window where they're just all going to kind of beat up and take lumps from each other.
All right. Hey, I could definitely see it, man. And to finish it off, part 2, man, the last team in the Big 12 we're going to do is those Texas Longhorns. Hey, man, Sark got Quinn Ewers. He just recently got Arch, man, and some people are saying, let me say this is sidebar, man. I heard somebody on the radio here say now that they got Arch Manning in the fold, committed, if he ends up signing, that Texas is on his way back. Let me say this, man. Arch Manning is rated as a 1.0 and 247, the number 1 quarterback in the nation. If that means that because they got a 5-star 1.0 rated quarterback that they're on their way back, they should already be on their way back because Quinn Ewers was a 1.0 as well, 5-star quarterback, number 1 in his class when he came out. So not that nothing against Arch, but just because they got Arch don't mean they're back. If they're going to be back, they should already be back because they have one of those quarterbacks already.
So I will say this: if Arch stays true, which based off of his family, I don't see him being the type of guy to sling hats around and all this nonsense. I think he's kind of true to his word. I don't see him flipping unless something crazy happens down there in Texas. But say Quinn Ewers gets him back. If Quinn Ewers wins a natty, the pressure would be on Arch to win a natty because you mentioned it. They've had 3 quarterbacks that came in as true ones. The first one they ever got, Vince Young, slayed the big bad giant that was USC. So the pressure's kind of on Quinn and then on Arch, but we'll see. I mean, hey, man, look, rankings are rankings. You got to get on campus and show us something.
That's right. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Last year, the Texas Longhorns were 5-7 in Sark's first year. Right? This is his first year. That was right. So this is his second year, but he may have a different quarterback. A lot of times in your second year, you actually do better because people are learning and know the system a little bit more. Now, we are automatically talking about Quinn Ewers. That's if Quinn Ewers beats out Hudson Card. That's what we're all kind of presuming here. But if not, we'll see. What does Vegas say that the Longhorns are going to do? Are they the tie for the second highest win total in the Big 12?
In the previous video with Oklahoma State, I said they were tied with somebody at 8.5 wins for second place. It is no other than the Texas Longhorns, which with that math, man, Red River rivalry replayed for the Big 12 championship game. That could be fun.
That's right. I mean, just to recap from part 1, Oklahoma has the 2022 best Vegas Insider win total with 9.5. Oklahoma State and Texas tied at 8.5 for second best win total, season win total. And Baylor is third with 7.5. Just for those out there keeping up that don't bet or know what the win totals consist of, it's a half if it's a win. If it's a win, then it's 1 point. Then if it's a toss up, then it's a half. And if it's a loss, you don't get anything. That's how they come up with halves. So we're going to try to see if we match what they say. So 8.5. Let's see what we got. All right. University of Louisiana Monroe. ULM Warhawks. That is a win.
They can take that pre-dub to start the season.
All right. Then they got Big Bad Crimson Tide rolling into town, looking to on there. Basically, how Nick Saban does after losing a natty or having a disappointing season. They're going to be on a revenge tour from even with teams they hadn't even played in a while. I got this as a loss.
Yeah, what you hate. This is in Austin too. It's one thing if you go to Titletown and get drummed. it might get ugly in Austin, and that's not the way you want to play second week of the year, getting beat like a drum.
That's right. Now, third week, they come back home and play UTSA with Frank Harris as their quarterback, and Frank Harris is pretty good. This is UTSA is an in-state group of five team. Those group of fives are always looking to prove something. I'm not saying that UTSA can beat them, but I'm just saying if Texas hasn't gotten the quarterback position straight, it could be closer than we think. I'm gonna give them a win here only because they got Bijan. If they didn't have Bijan, I might have to give them a half here.
So I am actually going to give them a half here, because I think they're going to be licking their wounds. I think that Bama is going to come in, hit them with that what we think about SEC games where they just manhandle them on both sides of the trenches. And I think Texas is going to be soul searching against an in-state group of five. They got the chip on their shoulder. We've seen it all too often. That ain't the game you want to be soul searching in.
That's right. A lot of times they do say don't let a team beat you twice. And if that Bama game gets out of hand, mentally, Bama could beat you a second week in a row when you play UTSA. UTSA coming there with that chip on their shoulder. So we'll see. Next game up is at Texas Tech. I got this as a win for Texas.
I had it as a half.
That's right. All right. We got West Virginia at home. Did I have this as a half? No, I think I got this as an outright win for Texas, just because they got to go to Austin. I think Texas is gonna pull this one out.
And this was the one road game that I actually did give West Virginia the half on. I do think they can go to Austin and get a half.
Then you got the Red River Rivalry, Red River Shootout, whichever one we're calling it these days. And I give this one a half. They were close to beating Oklahoma last year. I think Oklahoma may have top to bottom better team, but it's a rivalry, and you know how the rivalries, sometimes you can throw the record books out of the window. So I'm giving them a half here.
I have the half as well.
All right. Then they play Iowa State at home. I'm giving them a half. I gave Iowa State a half here. I think Iowa State may be able to come into Austin and cause some trouble.
I have it as a half.
All right. At Oklahoma State, I don't think they're gonna have the whole roster to go to Stillwater and win. I got this as an L.
This is looking at the Vegas projection, this is a big game because this is kind of the tiebreaker battle for second place to get into the championship for the Big 12. I do have it as a loss.
All right. Then they got a bye week, and then they come off the bye week. They play Kansas State at home. I got Kansas State. I got this as a half. I think Kansas State finished 7-5 last year, and I think Kansas State made some transfer portal moves to better their team, and this is actually in Manhattan too. So watch out there.
I did have this as a half as well. It is in Manhattan.
All right, and then they got TCU at home. Again, all these Texas schools, I feel like all of them kind of have some kind of inner rivalry going on. I got this as a half. I think Texas may edge them out, but I think TCU could go up there and shock them.
I had this as a half.
I got them going to Lawrence and taking that L. First time in who knows in how long that the Kansas Jayhawks beat a Big 12 foe 2 years in a row. I got this as an L. Kansas is going to take it personal.
You already know that I have this as an L. First time since the first two games of the series back in 1908 and 1934 when the Jayhawks started the series off 2-0 against Texas. They're bringing it back to the glory days of the early 1900s, and they're going to put Texas back in the Great Depression.
We are riding with you, Kansas Jayhawks. Don't let us down. All right, and then the last game of the season, they get Baylor coming to the house. I think Baylor's a better team. I think Baylor goes into Texas and gets that dub.
I also have Baylor winning.
All right, so they got Texas at 8.5 for the second best win total in the Big 12. I got them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think they can go easily 6-6. But I think 6-6 is their floor. I think they can go 8-4.
So I have them at 5-5 at 5.5. I think that 5 is their floor. 5-7 is their floor. But again, I could very easily see them go at 8-4. And if the stars align, Robinson stays healthy, Quinn Ewers wins out, and he's who we think he is. They don't let the Bama loss beat them multiple weeks. They could go 9-3. They have the pieces to do that. The schedule just doesn't line up. And again, we've talked about it all video long. Coin flip among all these Big 12 teams. Nobody really. I think Oklahoma State's cream of the crop. I think Baylor's got talent. Oklahoma's a little bit better than some of them. But these 4 through 8 in the Big 12 are all middle of the road college football teams. And I think any of them can beat any of them any given Sunday, home or away.
Hey, I'm with you. I think it's kind of like that in most conferences divisions. Definitely overall in the conference, there's about 3 to 4 teams that are really good, or compared to the other teams in the conference or division. About 3 to 4 teams that are good, and then you have about 7 teams that are middle of the road, or not middle of the road, but they kind of packed in that middle of the conference or middle of the division, and then you got the bottom feeders. I think every conference kind of set up like that, like you say with those toss-up games, man. Texas could easily be 9-3, or they could easily be 5-7 again. Just depends on what's going on. But like we said, man, these are the win totals for the Big 12. Don't take our word for it, because we're not Vegas insiders or betting analysts. So don't go bet in the house, because I don't have any room at my house for you. Jeff, you got anything to say as we close this Big 12?
Oh man, I was gonna let, if y'all crazy enough to gamble the house, especially on the Big 12, which always does crazy things, I sure ain't got no room for you, because I just moved a giraffe into the house today, so you ain't got no room at the end here.
Stuffed giraffes and Kansas beating Texas. 2022 is getting crazy. All right, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Get in the comments. Let us know which teams you don't agree with for the win totals, and actually let us know in the Big 12 what teams you'd like to see us do a season preview of. We will pick some teams from the Big 12 to do season preview of coming up soon. For the Stat Guys, this is Coach Odd. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Go Dogs.
We got it jumping like it's that valley. I call my dogs out the pound, let's go eat. Turn on the fanatic, let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off they plate?